All right, we are live for the close. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in here. 1 second. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Woohoo! Awesome stuff. Good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. So it was definitely an interesting one, yeah, we're heading into Fed Day tomorrow. Should be interesting. So today we're going to be continuing our conversation on day trading the close. And today we're going to be talking about candles. So before we do that, everything we're going to talk about, of course, is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, good, good, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see where we left off in the market here today. And then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what's setting up into tomorrow. And then we'll go over the topic, and then we'll take questions and chart requests. So let's get started here. So the SPX monthly chart, we're down 20 points today. Starting to put a little upper shadow here in the monthly chart, but we've been climbing up here in the month. So this is the last week of the month, so 3 days left as we head into Fed Day tomorrow. So let's see what Powell's got to say about the whole thing. So upper shadow here off of the gap zone from last week. This week still an inside week, so a pretty narrow range so far. I've got a feeling that things are going to start to kick up a little bit, or pick up a little bit. We'll see which way it goes after tomorrow, and then we get into Apple and Amazon earnings. So a really, really big week this week. So you could tell the market is just kind of gearing up for that, right? It's been low volume the last couple days, and it's kind of getting tight for that for some potential action maybe tomorrow, and then of course after the Apple and Amazon earnings. So daily chart, a little bit of a pullback here today. A little bit increased volume on the SPY, but we've pushed back below the upper trend line, but we're still in this kind of mini trend box right here. So tomorrow may give us some direction whether we're going to get out of it to the upside and start to fill that gap, or we're going to break down below here, and then we'll see where we go from there. It could be very, very interesting tomorrow. Let's take a look at the price action here today on the intraday time frame. So here's the 15-minute chart here. So it's pretty interesting, right? So we gapped down today, right? Here's your closing gap right here. So we gapped down today with a nice push down at the open. So we pointed that out at the open here on our live streams with our group, and some short opportunities there, some quick ones on this move down that we did inside 15 at the 15-orb low, right? Worked our way back to the 15-orb high, and then we chopped for a while, right? There's a couple interesting moves, right? So we had a quick down candle right here, a couple 3 down candles right here. Then we worked our way up here, right? And we just couldn't get above it. And then we did an inside 15, right? And then worked our way down at the end of the day. So caught some nice opportunities in that to the downside as well. So very, very interesting stuff there. These are the levels that we provide to our members for each market open. So you can see how important they are, right? So we got down not only to the prior day's low, right? So a little bit of support right there, but also our S1 level. Worked our way up here, right? Filled the closing gap earlier, right? Retested those levels there, got really, really tight. Remember we talked about that, and then worked our way back up here. Again, look at that upper shadow on the 5-minute candle, and worked our way down. So pretty cool stuff there. Let's take a look at the S&P futures and see how they're behaving here this evening. So we were green for a little bit. Looks like we ticked a little bit red right here. So it's pretty interesting stuff, right? You can see a nice geometric line right here. Okay, so that actually corresponds with our trend line too. So inside 5 down here this evening as we come down and test a couple of these levels right here. You can see how we behaved intraday. We have our signal zones, beautiful bounces off of these zones today. Look at that. Ah, so nice. And then now we'll see where we end up tomorrow. So this is not looking really good right here, but we'll see what they decide to say into tomorrow. So we've got this level right here, right? And so see how that holds as a potential geometric resistance line right there. And then we're already breaking down below here. We've got this level here, and we've got some signal zones below. So we'll see how this zone right here, this 3200 area, 3195 is kind of the middle of the zone. So let's see how that holds going into the rest of the evening. So very, very interesting stuff. So good. So let's take a look and see what we've got on the list for today. So today we're continuing to talk about day trading the close. So it's been an interesting conversation so far. So today we're going to talk about candles. So again, like we said, it's interesting, right? Yesterday we talked about the MOC, right? And so the market on close, and that's very, very interesting, right? So we talked about significant MOCs and other ones that are in the millions that don't really help us. We like the ones that are in the billions, right? So we actually had a pretty big MOC on the sell side here today. And that's kind of one of the things that that we look at to look for sentiment into the close, right? So obviously we're already working our way down, and I think probably a lot of those today, if we go to the SPY, probably a lot of those today on the sell side has a lot to do with not necessarily that there's a lot of folks shorting the market, but it's probably a lot of folks that are not interested in holding into Fed day, right? Because it kind of could go either way. So I think you kind of had a little bit of that action right here, but so that really helped us to kind of keep this type of sentiment right going into the close. So one of the things so today we're going to be talking about candles and really just kind of want to emphasize a couple things, right? So if you go to the 5-minute chart as we go into the close, we talk a lot in our group about upper shadows, lower shadows. You guys hear me talk about it here all the time. Those are really, really important things, right? Especially if you're at key levels, right? So so this is one of the things we were looking at today as we were making our way down to the 15 orb low, right? One, we wanted to close below here, but we love seeing upper shadows at these levels, right? That shows that there's selling pressure in that area, right? So that can guide us and key us into some potential momentum into the close as well, especially if we get some volume off of those levels, right? So what I really liked about this move right here is we had a nice increased volume candle here, which pushed below the 15 orb low today. And then from there, right, we got a little bit of a bounce up. They pushed it back down with a big upper shadow. This candle right here with huge volume, right, really good volume on that one. So that gives us that sentiment that, hey, maybe we're going to get a push into the close. Now, they did it again one more time, and this is tough, right? So a lot of times it could require multiple scalps, or if you're patient, right, have a stop above the 15 orb high, the high of the 15 orb low, right? You could also use that too as a guide. But then they put in another 5-minute candle right here. Look at that. Right up to the 15 orb high right there. Couldn't even get to it. Big volume, closing on the lows, and that gave you one more thrust to the downside for a nice move on that. So it's kind of, scalpy stuff here as you get to the smaller time frames, but these can really give you a good clue into the price action, especially towards the close. One of the things I want to point out too is that not necessarily using the 5-minute chart, but you can also go to the other charts, right, too, to see what kind of candles you have setting up into there as well, right? So 15-minute chart today, right? We had a couple larger, increased volume candles here that were on the bearish side too, right? Look at all these upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. They're just kind of indicating that, hey, we're not really holding on to this 15 orb high right here, right? We have increased volume as we close below here, and that gives you a beautiful 15-minute candle to the downside. And we got the same thing right here, right? An upper shadow right here, kind of pushing its way down, and then one more upper shadow right here on the 15-minute chart for a big move down on that. So you can see how that all kind of comes in harmony with the lower term time frame. So it's very, very important to pay attention to those, right? And then a couple other, you can go to the hourly chart too. Sometimes that just gives you overall sentiment. Right, so if you look at the hourly chart here today, this is not having pre-market levels off. But here at the highs, look at that. You got this nice southern doji. It's almost like a gravestone doji here with increasing volume on these red candles going into the close too. So sometimes it does help to look at the higher time frames just to keep that sentiment in there, right? It's harder to take out a big hourly candle than it is a 5-minute candle, right? Or a 1-minute candle. So when we see something like this going into the close here with increased volume, right? So this is all the way to the close at 3:30, right? We can kind of anticipate that we may get some more downside action off of that candle. So sometimes switching to these larger time frame candles can help us get that sentiment, as you can see here, confirmed on the 15-minute chart and then actionable on the 5-minute chart, right? Once we get the increased volume and the upper shadows off our levels. So so good stuff. That's the one thing I kind of want to emphasize. I know at the beginning of the week we talked about the 1-minute charts and things move really fast there using our trend lines. And one of the things you can see here is that we did hold trend really nicely here, even on the 5-minute chart on the way down today. And we kept on coming back, right? Testing it. That kept on confirming our downside momentum on that. And that's using those candles on that. So good stuff. Hopefully you guys find that helpful. And of course you could use it to the bullish side. I just thought it was appropriate with today's price action to use that in there as well. Also the 30-minute candle can be effective too, just to kind of get that overall perspective of it, especially at the close. And why do we like this at the close? Well, same reason that we like to trade the open, right? Look at the volume at the open here on the SPY compared to at the close. Right? We want to be involved where there's action, right? So not in this, right? These little kind of dip, these like really low volume areas right here, right? We want to be where the action is, right? Where the momentum is, right? Because that's going to give us faster moves and it's going to help our trades out more if we understand the direction correctly. And those candles can really help us with that. So candles and volume at the close can be very, very effective. Open and close can give you really, really good stuff. Now, intraday, of course, you can get some volume, right? Low volume pullbacks, things like that to continue a trend. But the fun comes sometimes with the SPY at the end of the day like that. So good stuff there. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can, try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff. All right, so we've got a few in here. So Alma sent GBTC. So let's take a look at some Bitcoin action here on the daily chart. So let's get that pulled up here. So we got GBTC. So let's take a look. So yeah, so the Bitcoin action, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So we had this going on right here going into today. Right, we had a decent candle yesterday with some huge volume, a little bit of an upper shadow right there, and then we got that gap up and a nice push today. So keep an eye on this one. GBTC could be interesting going into tomorrow. This could be a potential doji sandwich. In fact, I like it enough to put it on the bullish radar for tomorrow. So don't forget, it's Fed Day tomorrow, so it's going to be an interesting one as well. And this GBTC, the Bitcoin, and gold, right, is also looking really interesting too. So keep that on your radar for tomorrow as well. So good stuff. All right, so Shirley sent a few via email, so let's take a look at those. So KMB, some interesting ones here, a little off the beaten path, but still some bullish stuff right here. So Kimberly Clark, right, a little paper action right here. So bullish candle right here, good volume, and holding trend pretty nicely. So I like the breakout candle right here. I like how it closed, well, basically at its highs, right there. Closed over all these levels, and looking pretty good on that one, Shirley. So let's see if that can get some follow through into tomorrow. And what else? You got PG. So these are a couple consumer staple type companies. So PG, pretty decent there as well. Nice fresh highs there. A little bit of an upper shadow, but bullish still proving otherwise. Still holding the upper trend line. FTCH, another nice one too. Not far-fetched on this one to see it going, continuing to push its way up as it's continuing to hold its trend line, right? So here, right. So nice bump line on that one. See if that continues to hold, right? CHD. Okay. So Arm & Hammer, you gotta love this one. So a little bit good increased volume on that one. Still continue to work its way up and holding the ADMA up as it approaches earnings on that one. And then K, nice one there. Fresh eyes on Kellogg's as well. I like how it's closing above these levels. A little bit of extra volume would have been nice and coming up into earnings. So just be careful with that. So good stuff. ZEK, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Let's take a look at SE. So SE, yeah, potential doji sandwich on this one. So a little bit of a down move, so just be careful on that. It's just been kind of drifting up on low volume, on decreasing volume, right? So let's just kind of see how it holds these highs right here. It could be a potential bull flag going into the next couple days. So let's see how that goes there. DBX. DBX is kind of chopping around these areas right here. I mean, it got a nice upgrade recently, right? Kind of pulled back off of that pretty deeply right here. Didn't end up filling the gap. Left you with an upper shadow over the 50. But yeah, good volume right there. Just kind of watch today's high, see how that holds going in tomorrow. I do like how it's staying above the 50-day and the cloud. BLNK. BLNK, wow, really, really choppy stuff right here. But, we could see some interesting stuff on this with, the recent, the sector, right? So it's hanging in there pretty well. So just see if it can give you a breakout candle over that potential bull flag or that geometric line right there. And NEM. So a pretty interesting move with this one, right? As gold has been really super duper strong, right? Gold and the miners. So these have just been really, really good recently. So let's see if that can continue to hold this. I like the little low volume pullback to here, but watch your earnings coming up on that one too. So good stuff, Mike. What's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully we get some action starting tomorrow. So a lot of times during Fed days, we often get like a nice trade at the open, right, and then we just kind of hang out until until 2:30 until the press conference. The rate announcement, any adjustments comes out at 2 o'clock, and then the Powell press conference comes at 2:30, and then sometimes after that we get some action, right? So it could define direction, right? The last time we had Fed day, it really did define some downside direction. So let's see if. Let's see. Every time he steps out, right, it seems to be bearish, right? So let's see if he can maybe come up with some, forward-looking, positive stuff. So let's see if that comes out tomorrow. Maybe we'll start to work our way up and fill that gap on that one. So Boeing with earnings tomorrow could be interesting, getting really, really tight right here. It's holding these prior levels right here on this, basically. Descending triangle right here, so let's see if it holds these levels here. But I'm really interested to see how it plays tomorrow. I'd like to see a huge gap up, maybe even over this like 200 level, and really see it give a big push. That could be a great one to keep on the radar tomorrow. Nvidia up after hours on it's holding its upward trend line up after hours on some on the AMD action, right? So AMD had a positive report right there, so definitely moved in sympathy with that one. So still in its trend box here, though, as you can see here on the bar chart, right? So, but definitely above the upper trend line, so that's good. And a gap up tomorrow could be nice on it. We'll see what it does. See if it gets any action with AMD tomorrow. And then Shop earnings tomorrow as well. Shop still chopping around the trend box right here. A bit of a morning star-ish reversal yesterday. Got a good gap up today, kind of pulled back. So now let's see what kind of action we get for earnings on that one. Should be good stuff. Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Kim, what's going on, Bubblicious? Yeah, how about the chop today? So yeah, when we know it's chopping like that, we like to, you got to be very precise with setups, or when cool news comes out like SPCE today, and it's just like, oh, okay. And it wasn't really news, it was just like their horrible cabin design, and the market's like, no. It was, remember when Cybertruck came out and it just flushed, and then eventually, they talked about all the orders they had for it, and it worked its way back up there, but it's just like, the market likes its nice designs, right? That's why Apple is always, a hot one to look at for that. So that's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, sports drop. So DKNG, potential inverse head and shoulders. Maybe it's working on a kind of longer termish, right? So if you got like shoulder, head, I mean, it could be working on this type of thing right there. Try to get out of it eventually. A little bit of sideways head and shoulders action. So got a little, some down moves today on the baseball news, right? Closing down the Marlins, right? So got a nice little push to the downside here, and then just kind of chopping around. See if it gets any follow through tomorrow. But yeah, kind of weird. Like this whole thing's just getting really, really weird, right? With the sports teams like putting CGI for crowds. It's just really odd, right? But anyway, so yeah, we'll see what goes here. But again, any sports news will definitely affect DKNG. Like if they cancel football, right? DKNG like could just flush, right? So pretty interesting stuff there. Let's take a look at Run. Yeah, Run's still running. So the solar sector did finally gave a little bit of a push down after this epic move up, right? So but basically, looks like they gapped it down a little bit here after hours too. So yeah, just kind of keeping on the bearish radar right here. Below today's lows could be really, really interesting on those names right there. And then Walmart. Still bull flagging, so we'll keep an eye on that one there. And AMD, so guys, AMD, we talked about it for a gap and go up here, right? And now we got earnings, and it's right now it's at 74.58. So obviously gapping up to all-time highs up here. So we're definitely going to keep it on the radar for a gap and go. But what do we need? We need to get over the after hours and the pre-market highs for it to really get going, right? So that's really the key levels on that one. So let's see what kind of action we get in the morning on AMD. I'm sure it'll be interesting. So this is definitely one that's going to be on our radar at the open tomorrow, and see if we can get a nice trade on that one too. So good stuff. Charlie, yeah, so right there, AMD. So looking for a potential gap and go on this one. I like how it closed on the lows too. Now, obviously, most people know that we're coming into earnings, right? So I wouldn't imagine there's too many people holding short, but the ones that are going to get squeezed out if they haven't already covered already overnight. Some of them will hold and be like, oh, it'll pull back. We'll see. We'll see if it takes out those pre-market levels and if it gaps and goes to the upside. So, DA, what's going on? Hey. Hope you're doing well. Oh, you got some good ones tonight. Let's take a look. So, you got Zen on the radar. Let's take a look. So Zendesk, so just kind of hanging in here right now. So it basically just gave you a fresh geometric level right there. So we'll see if we can push above that one. SDGR, the Schrodinger, right? So nasty candle on that one today with some volume, right? We took a look at this the other day right here. See if it kind of holds these levels right here, but it is sweetly breaking down a little bit on that one. GAN. A little bit of breakdown right there. See if it holds the cloud as a potential support. IBM, kind of interesting, just kind of sliding down the cloud right there. The ADMA starting to curl over, right, starting to get to the bottom of the cloud, so and back in the triangle range right there. So just still kind of blah, but definitely something to keep an eye on too. Definitely looking, a little bit bearish right there. Kratos with a earnings coming up pretty soon right here. Some good volume recently, but still rejecting those geometric lines above. So see if it gets any move off of that. Plug. Inside day down so far, low volume. So see how that holds. It's kind of working on its own little bull flag right there too. So let's see if that can continue to hold. I don't know if I called it the flag earlier, a bull flag or a bear flag, but bull flag. Right. So anyway, so start with property. Okay. So real estate. Some of them do pretty well right here. Try to poke its head above this triangle range right here, above the cloud. But let's see if we can get a decent candle on that one with some volume as it heads into earnings coming soon. And then TGT also been interesting too. Mega triangle on the daily charts, right? Really, really tight in this range right here. Potential cup and handle. Potential, really, honestly, looks like a head and shoulders type pattern right here. This thing's going to need a breakout candle with some volume for it to really get going if it wants to, right? And then UNG. UNG staying below the 50-day moving average, right? So try to creep up the other day. So you got some big cloud right here. I'll let maybe some extra chop right here, and then maybe we'll start to get out of that cloud. But in the meantime, it's just sort of blah until proven otherwise on that one. Stacy, what's going on? You made it. Woohoo! Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. X Country Kev, what's going on? Zoom, let's take a look. Yeah, so Zoom had actually a pretty interesting day today. Had a strong open and then reversed pretty hard at the close, right? So, had a great move at the open, which Zoom sometimes does, and then just gave this kind of nasty, reversal right here. Just like basically broke down these levels here with kind of the way the rest of the market behaved today. So, some pretty interesting stuff on that one. So, see how it holds right here. We're getting some crazy levels on this one. Just kind of get your geometric lines on here. You got some support levels right here. So we definitely want to see if it wants to be strong. Get above these levels with some volume. The volume's been pretty rough the last couple days, and see if it gets any action off of that one. Right. So if there's more Corona fears, right, we'll go back to it. Okay, Roku bull flagging right here too. Rejected those geometric levels today and came back down over the ADMA. So I mean, anything could happen here, right? We're still consolidating. We wait for a breakout on it, right? Maybe we'll test the bottom of the bull flag right here, and maybe that'll happen right before earnings, and it'll just bounce off of that and get going. But we'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes. And then Tesla. So Tesla, pretty interesting stuff. Great candle yesterday. It gave a nice push here. Don't forget yesterday was a little bit lower volume, but it was a strong candle, right? And today it did give a push up to anybody who was long the prior day, giving a chance to get out, right? And then it also gave an opportunity to get short on it, right? Nice spinning top right here, right? A little doji reversal, almost an evening star type setup, right? That, and then just held the ADMA down for the rest of the day. It's cool stuff on that one. Bagish, what's going on? Good evening. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Coop. Little Coop action. Rejected the ADMA on that one too. Tried to take the inside day up and then came back in range right there. So watch out for that one. I might try to test a little bit lower. D-Dog. Kind of hanging in there. A little spinning top move. Lower volume, but it's kind of drifting up a little bit. Let's see how it behaves after earnings, and maybe it'll give us define a direction for us on that one. DA, NVAX. Let's take a look. Yeah, NVAX starting to perk up here too. So again, good news with PFE today and Moderna, so maybe I just want to get a little bit of bounce off of that. Just keep an eye on those levels, those geometric levels above. Rich, what's going on? Target, it looks like it's doing sort of like a massive, like, inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. I'm waiting for a breakout on that, right? Baba. Pretty interesting right here, inside day, so this has been pretty interesting as well the last couple days. Had some, unusually... Kind of had an unusual day yesterday. The K-Web was strong yesterday. Good move right here. And then it gave you an inside day. So, kind of closed a little bit lower. But see if we can take out those the higher the low for some direction on that one, too. So good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. The Nest, what's going on? ANTM, let's take a look. So how's that one doing, right? So this one's been struggling in this this potential bear flag right here. So it gave a little bit of a move right there from yesterday's lows, but still below the ADMA, so just a little bit of caution on that one. PD, tried to get out of the cloud today, but rejected a little bit, so just kind of still a little bit blah. CDLX, that's looking pretty nasty right there. It's got some levels below, right? So it's kind of right at this level right here, right? You got this right here. So kind of see how those hold, but it's just kind of in the chop zone, right? I'd rather see a breakout candle on that one with some volume to try to get out of that cloud again. Right, Roku again, just kind of really consolidating right here. A bit of a bull flag, a little rejection of that geometrical level today. But we'll see how that goes heading into earnings. I really would like to have seen it break out and give like an earnings run, but it just doesn't. It tends to lag all the other guys, right? So all the other FANG stocks. So LBGO, right, forever bullish. So it's still holding this this bump line right here. So just giving you a lot of upper shadows. It's not encouraging, but it's not really breaking down yet. So that's good. Workhorse again, had some pretty good activity intraday today. Had some good volume that came in right here. We give a great spike to the upside, right? But it was like that was it, right? And it kind of still just kept the same range as it normally does. But intraday it was a good candle. So really, I want to see if we can get over these levels right here with some volume and try to start going again. So good stuff. So DA, what's a reasonable ratio risk reward for an options trader? I always, before I even consider a trade, I want to see 1-to-1, right? So that's what I'm looking for, and that's using your risk, right? That's how much you're risking based on what your target is, right? Based on a system that is consistent for you, right? You can't just say like, oh, I've got a chance to make 200% on this one, but I'm gonna risk 100% or whatever the case is, or I'm gonna risk $1,000 for a chance to make $2,000. It has to be a good system, right? So you understand how those options move, right? And but I'm never gonna take an options trade if I'm risking more than I'm gonna potentially make on it. If I have a reasonable setup and a good target, so. Got to be greater than 1-to-1 for me to be interested. Okay, the Nest NVTA. Nasty candle on that one today. Says it heads into earnings right here. Wow, what a consistent reversal, right? So just up and then even the ADMA is just really just kind of showing that move right there. Nasty candle today. Kind of low volume, but see how that holds those lows and where we go from there. TGT. TGT kind of chopping around a little bit. So, this is the same thing here. Everybody's asking about Target, right? So, kind of this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. Let's see if we can give a breakout on that one way or the other. NVAX. Yep. So, didn't we go over these already? Oh, I guess great minds think alike. So you guys are you're going over a lot of the same ones. So nice stuff there. Yeah, good. Yeah. So NVAX, we want to see if he gets over those over there. TSCO. Wow, Tractor Supply, amazing. Still holding this upward channel right here. It's right at the bottom of it on low volume pullback. So look and see if we can bounce off of those levels right there. It could be very interesting. Too Sharp, what's going on? Uber, let's take a look. So Uber is kind of getting a little bloober. It's just a little inside day, downish, kind of spinning topish right here. Just kind of, a lot of blah. So, it's got this key level right here. It's got to really get above that to get interesting. Maybe to get to the top of that triangle right there. But now it seems to be breaking down below these levels, right? So what we really want to see, keep an eye on Uber, guys, because this trend line right here, it's still a geometric line on that one. So not really a technical trend box on that. But, you could look at it here. You can go really big on this. That from the Corona crash lows, right? Here's your trend line, right? We just haven't broken below any of these levels really significantly, right? So that's going to be a huge level right here to see if that holds. So kind of choppy, but if it does break down below today's lows, we'll see if it gets some momentum downside movement on it. So it's definitely looking a little bit weak right here. I mean, the 8 crossed over the 50, right? And it's about to cross over the 200 if it works its way down there too. So it's not looking bullish, but we'll see how it holds. So good stuff. NK, what's going on? Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. New bass player, what's happening? Let's say SQ. SQ is still chopping around in its trend box, right? So we actually had an alert on this one from the other day. Let's see if we can get up here. But again, just kind of chopping around the trend box. Let's see how it holds in there. A bit of an upper shadow right there. Closed below the 8-day. So kind of in the blah zone right now. So maybe just going to be blah before earnings. We'll have to see if it tries to get going. Maybe give a little bit of earnings run. But it's really going to be all about the FANG this week to see what that does for tech, right? Because everything else will move along with it. Keith, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, eBay, we had earnings, right, tonight. So it's down a little bit. Down a little bit after hours. Had an epic run up. It really did. I mean, it barely felt the Corona crash. It was just like a little blip on the radar. And it's like, I'm just going to keep going. Gap up, then keep going. Right, so it's hanging on to the upward trend line right here. And it's gapping down to about 54.50, which is above that candle right there. So basically, if you look at it here, we've got a trend box, right? So it's still in the trend box right there. So kind of keep an eye on it. If it pushes down below those lows, we might see a momentum move to the downside on eBay. Akamai, let's take a look. So 8cam. So red candle right there. It's a big volume. Okay, so earnings, right? So today, today after the close. So let's see how that behaved there on those earnings. So yeah, not good. So had a rough day today and had some downside follow through. It's rare to see if the stock actually projects its move into earnings, but this one did it, right? So just nasty candle, big volume, so a little bit of downside follow through on it. It's about 109 right now, which puts it about here. So it's kind of blah. I mean, might see a reversal right here, but mind that gap below. Could be very interesting tomorrow. Amgen. Let's take a look. Amgen upper shadow. Okay, so just kind of keep an eye right here. You got that big geometric line right here, and you got a little geometric line right here. So it looks like it's kind of working on a bit of a triangle right there. So see how it holds that. And then FireEye. So FireEye, earnings. Did it have earnings tonight as well? Oh yeah, good earnings right there. Yeah, so that's up to $15 from $13. So that's putting it $15.22. It's putting over this guy. Might see a little bit of a push on that one. You get an open gap right there. So see how that holds on that one. Right? And then Amgen, we had earnings tonight as well, right? So let's take a look here. Yeah, so a little bit down off of that one as well. So yeah, so nice find on those. So Amgen down 250. So it's kind of looking at gapping like right there. So it's still in the middle of the triangle on that one. Cool. Nice stuff, Keith. Really appreciate it. Gio, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. PayPal. Yeah, PayPal's still in its trend box zone up there. So it's just kind of blah after its epic run up since the Corona crash too. Whew, nasty one to trade though. This is one you just keep it a separate account and just let it do its thing. OLED. Yeah, so what did we talk about yesterday? We said we might get a pause day off of that today. It did get back below the 200-day, so let's see how that holds. See if it can give it a little a pullback bounce off of that going into the future. Maybe things will get strong. If Apple has really good earnings, usually OLED can move in harmony with it. CRM. Close below the 8-day moving average, get really, really choppy up here, so see how that holds. WDay. Inside day below the ADMA and close below the 50-day moving average, so just be careful with that one. CTOS with an hourly flag. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you can kind of see it right here. Double inside day down, right? So see how it holds right there. It's got room to get to the 8-day, but definitely one to keep an eye on right there to see if it can try to work its way back up off of that. So a lot of names got to work their way down. BA to have a gap and go for upside pressure. So it actually could be really interesting, right? So the downside is going to be weird. I mean, to get really bearish, right, we'd like to see it below this pivot right here, below 113. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible. You got a couple other levels right here, but anywhere in here, I'd kind of look for reversal. And to the upside, I'd love to see a gap above that. It'd be crazy. But any big gap up on Boeing with any sort of positive news, we could start to see another move on this one again. Downside, we'll see, but anything could happen if the news is really bad. So just keep an eye on those pivots below. Jay, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Tracy, what's happening? Good evening. Yeah, so Docu, let's take a look. Docu with an upper shadow at the channel right there, just closed right on the 8-day moving average, right? So it's kind of coming out of the that upper channel, right? So, but you got really kind of the big level you want to keep an eye on is that guy right there, right? So see if that holds, right? A volume push below there. Could take a look. So give me 1 second. D-Dog. D-Dog was spinning top at the 8-day. We'll take a look at that one there. How? Red spinning top on that one, above the 80 MA on this one, so it could be interesting on Halliburton. So just kind of keep an eye on the oil name, see if if the sector itself perks up a little bit, and this might start to get going. Kind of an annoying little pullback on that one right here, but if you can get over today's highs, it might try to get going again. And then Bank of America. Let's take a look. So Bank of America, yes, this was an interesting one today. This was surprisingly bullish this morning. This was one of the only names that was like that had some steady strength this morning, right, at the upside, right? And then it got just kind of blah, and then it got really tight, right? They gave you inside 15 to give a nice pop to the upside right there, and then pulled back at the end of the day. But it hung in there. It's still below the clouds, still below the 50-day. It had some nice intraday action, but other than that, just kind of chopping around. So good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure. Really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Jay, what's going on? Just in time. I like it. Hello. Yeah, so, mRNA, Tracy, let's take a look. So, mRNA. Let's take a look. mRNA, spinning top here. It had a nice move intraday. It had some good news here that came out, that they're, very, very effective Corona stuff. So, that was good, but kind of gave you a spinning top up here. The candles are just a little bit tough, right? I mean, I'm not really seeing anything major. I mean, possible flag pattern right here if it gets over today's highs. Just definitely keep an eye on it. Keep it on the news for sure. DA, yeah, hey, my pleasure. Yeah, definitely. If you guys, anybody's new here or not new here, definitely hit the like button. We always appreciate it. So it's a good stuff there. And then Tracy, yeah, Chewy. Yeah, so Chewy kind of hanging in here too. It's still in its trend box, right, from its massive upward trend line right here. So it's getting these big tags of these can get pretty heavy. So keep an eye and see how it holds that cloud. So good stuff there. And then DA RRD. Let's take a look. So RRD with a spinning top move right here. Just getting really, really tight on this one. This a dollar stock in RRD is not interesting. So it's kind of hanging in there a little bit. Let's kind of see how it holds these levels. Earnings, did it do earnings tonight? Oh, it did? Let's take a look, see how that is here. Kind of down a little bit after earnings, 114-ish. Kind of penny stockish right here. It's just such a nasty kind of area right here. I mean, I wouldn't even mess with this one. But cool stuff. Sarab, what's going on? Good to see you. Good morning. Oh, wait, no, GM. Let's see. GM actually reports tomorrow morning, right? So, and actually, it's a pretty good activity today. They bought it up nicely this morning. We like the pullback on the 8 MA and kind of worked its way up here today. So let's see what they have in store. I can't imagine it's very good, but I mean, maybe some people are going out and getting discounts on cars. So good stuff. Rochelle, what's going on? Back on AMD, you mentioned some short holders may have already covered overnight, but not short, but curious what this means. Can one sell after? Yeah. So with AMD, right? So if you have options, you can't do anything, right? You got to hold it to the next day. It's kind of like the price you pay for getting the ability to own a stock at like a cheaper rate, right? So or trade a stock at a cheaper rate. But other than that, yeah. So what happens is right. So after hours, you can trade after hours. Now you can't do market orders after hours, right? So covering means like buying back your shares, right? Or or at least covering it and giving them back to the bank or the broker that lent them to you, right? Because when you short, right, you're borrowing the shares from the broker to sell. right? So you're short, and so when you cover your short, right, you're buying them back and then giving the shares back, to your broker, right? So and then you get to profit on the difference on it. And of course, they get their as long as you don't get a margin call on it, right? So they get their commissions on top of it and whatever their broker fees are and all that stuff, right? So so after hours, now trust me, it's hard on one of these algo moves. These are so huge, right? And they're really really scary, right? So it's like if you're short, like with shares, right? And now people trade shares, right? So I know we do a lot of options in our group and all this stuff. People trade shares, right? And and they hold it, and some of them, they'll hold through earnings, right? So some people might have thought, like, oh, okay, this is coming down into the close, right? And they short it, right, in earnings, and then it starts going up like this. They're like, whoa, I need to get out of this thing, right? So they cover their short, right, and they get caught up there, right? And then if it's big money, you could get a margin call on that stuff too, right? So that makes it squeeze even more, right? Because it keeps on going higher, and they got to do the margin call and pay the differences, and just try to keep on buying it up there, and it continue to squeeze it up, right? So that's what we look for these gap and go plays, and the reason is because even on the long-term basis, right, there's some big money that plays on these things, and guess what? They're short up here. Not all big money is correct, right? So they've got their stops up here, right? So they might have covered tonight. It's very possible. But if they didn't, they're going to see where this thing opens tomorrow. They might be sitting back and be like, oh, no, it'll go back down. It'll go back down. Well, you get to $74 and this thing starts ripping. Well, then you're going to be like, okay, I'm out, right? They've got their threshold, right? So that's why on these big gap and go moves, you have a good opportunity for stronger upside action. So good stuff. So, yeah, so good. I hope that helps. DA, apparently GM is announcing an electric vehicle caddy, or is that old news? I don't know if it's old news or what, but it sounds like good news. Cadillac, such a beautiful car. So so good stuff. Let's see what they have to say about that one. That could be very interesting. It would be interesting too if they announced an acquisition of one of these other electric companies. I don't know why one of these big car names hasn't done that yet, like bought Nikola or Workhorse. Because they missed their shot on Tesla. But anyway, pretty cool stuff right there. So technically you could cover by buying shares. No, so the most brokers, right, won't let you have both a long position and a short position simultaneously. So some people do that. They have like different accounts, right? So they'll go long and short in two different accounts, right? But yeah, so you're buying the shares back, right? So unless you're shorting it out of your own supply, right? That type of thing. So yeah, Rochelle, yeah, my pleasure. DA, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Well, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this evening, and it's been a good discussion here on trading the close. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow to see how AMD plays out and some of these other names. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on those, and really appreciate everybody's idea. If you're new here and just joining in from YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you see when we go live. We do lots of videos during the day, and check out our links too. You can check out our Twitter page and our website, and be sure to hit the like button either way. So we always appreciate that too. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and stay healthy out there, and remember your risk